Chairman, I just heard Jeff Zeleny speaking there, and he was mentioning this undecided issue. The latest Des Moines Register CNN poll, as you well know, shows only 40% of likely Democratic caucus goers in Iowa have made up their minds, which means 60% haven't. That is a higher number of undecideds than at a comparable point in past caucuses. What does this tell you about the race, about your field coming into tonight's debate?
It tells me that we have a very deep field, and every time you go see candidate A, you fall in love, then you go see candidate B and you fall in love again, and that's the deep field we've had throughout. We have an embarrassment of riches. People will be making choices. What I love about Iowa voters is they take their role seriously. They're out there kicking the tires, and you know, I don't know who's going to win. Anyone who tells you they do know who's going to win the Iowa caucus is lying to you. But what I do know is that when we complete Iowa and then 90 days later we complete the Mid-Atlantic caucus, which will take us to the end of April, and 90% of the delegates will be allocated, I think we'll have a very clear sense of who our putative nominee will be. And the thing I know for certain, Aaron, is that every Democrat understands that unity is our greatest strength. So whoever the nominee is, we will all be together in 6 months in Milwaukee celebrating and hitting the ground running for the general election.
All right. So look, Chairman, the DNC has been criticized, as you know. You've been talking about this for the debate criteria, which, you have an all-white stage tonight, and you had an incredibly diverse field of candidates. But on stage tonight, that is not how it's going to look. It's going to be all white. And that criteria that you've picked is based on public polling and donations, right? So in other words, voter support, right? You said you have to have a few percent in a bunch of states and a certain number of donors, and people who hit that mark are on stage and people who don't aren't. In a party that prides itself on diversity, Chairman Perez, why do you think Democratic voters are signaling, by the objective criteria you put out there, their preference for a white candidate?
Well, I think it's important, Aaron, to take a longer view of your question. We put forth the most inclusive criteria I think ever been put forward. And as a result of that, and we did it because we knew we'd have a really deep field, the biggest field ever. And as a result of that, we had a remarkable number of people, including candidates of color, who were on the debate stage. And let's go back to last month. So, and every month we went up, but we went up very, very gradually, 1%, yes. 2%. Last month, we went up to, we were up to 4%. Now we're at 5%.
I mean, look, they weren't high hurdles to an objective basis. These are low numbers.
They
yes.
weren't high hurdles. And again, last month we had of the 8 candidates on the stage, we had 3 women, we had 2 candidates of color, and one of them, Kamala Harris, who had made the debate stage then, and I'm quite certain would be on the debate stage tonight if she were still in the race, got out of the race. It had nothing to do with the DNC criteria. And now this month we had 23 polls, and you had to hit 5% in 4 out of those 23. And when you have a field this large, what that tells me is that the candidates who are going to be at the top of the polling are those who are doing the best job of getting support across the entire array of the big tent that is our wonderful Democratic Party. So, and so when I hear people saying that the rules are what are keeping people out, no, it's people are being called and they're being asked, who is your preference? And they are expressing
that's
their
the point.
preference.
This is voter preference.
And that's what we're doing.
So the candidates are in Iowa, obviously, where you are tonight. Trump won Iowa last time by nearly 10 points. And he is going to be in Wisconsin exactly while you're holding this debate, a state that he won by fewer than 23,000 votes. This is his second time back this time around. And he has been holding a lot of his rallies in states he won by incredibly minute margins in 2016, right? He's focusing on those must-win swing states. The top Democrats, of course, have all had to spend a lot of time in Iowa, right? I mean, they've got to win it to get off to the races here. Mike Bloomberg's campaign manager was on the show last night, Chairman Perez, and I wanted to play what he said to you. He's pretty blunt. Here he is.
Sure.
Democrat, Republican pollsters agree on one thing. Donald Trump's going to win Iowa this year. So we've spent a year and every nickel we can raise on a state that we're going to lose.
Why is he wrong?
We've become a 50-state party again, Aaron. Look at 2017, 2018, and 2019. What do those election cycles have in common? Democrats won at scale. Most recently, Kentucky and Louisiana, states where Donald Trump effectively put himself on the ballot, and voters came out and they said no. You asked about all those other battleground states. What 2018 has in common is that we won. You look at Wisconsin. Let's take Wisconsin. Let's take Pennsylvania. Let's take Michigan. 3 states that Donald Trump won in 2016. What do they have in common? In 2018, Democrats ran the table on all 3 of those, all the statewide elections in those 3 states. We have winded our back. We're mobilizing everywhere, and that's why I'd rather be us than them.
All right.